Welcome to the NFL Kickoff. I'm your host, Tom Zwiller, joined by my co-host,
Tony Nametti.
Our job is to get all of you in the audience ready for the upcoming weekend of NFL action. We're going to go over every single game, give you our different takes, and pick every game. But first, a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at DraftKings. The NFL Kickoff is presented by DraftKings. Are you looking to bet on the ninth week of NFL action? This week, the Packers and Chiefs, two preseason Super Bowl favorites, will meet up with a twist. Aaron Rodgers, he's out for the game. Jordan Love, his backup, is taking his first ever regular season NFL start. He, of course, will be starting against a weak Chiefs defense. Can he exploit that weak Chiefs defense, or Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs finally get rolling and rise to 5-4, their first time above 500 in quite some time? Find out this week and check out the link in the description. If you want to bet, I'm personally leaning towards betting on the Packers to cover because I really like that 7.5 spread. See what you think. Go get the link. There's a deposit match up to $1,000 through DraftKings and the Sports 2.0 network. And speaking of bets, last night was a fun one for gamblers. If you took Colts as the 10.5 favorite to beat the spread, you were sweating it out a little bit last night. Let's hop into that Thursday night football action. Last night, the Colts, they were at home against the New York Jets. The New York Jets, 2-5. The Colts, I believe 3-4. No, 3-5, right, Tony?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, both teams below 500. This looks like it would be a very boring, uninteresting game. And if you saw the halftime score of 28-10, I wouldn't blame you for turning off your television. That one looks like a blowout that the Colts would roll with. However, the Jets, they didn't agree. Sure, they're missing Mike White, their second-string quarterback, and sure, they're missing Zach Wilson, their first-string quarterback. That doesn't matter. They're going to play with Josh Johnson. He wanted to make it a game, and so the Jets made it a game. They clawed their way back from that 18-point halftime deficit, and they made it a 45-30 game, which may not feel comfortable, but which may not feel like a wide margin. But the Jets were driving late in the fourth. They were in the red zone. Bettors across America were literally terrified. I was on Twitter. People were freaking out, like, how are the Colts going to blow this? Are the Jets actually good? Fortunately for the Jets, but fortunately for gamblers, Josh Johnson ended up throwing an interception in the red zone. It sealed the deal, and everybody who gambled on the Colts sighed with relief. Tony, gambling aside, what are your initial thoughts on this game? Because it was really crazy. I don't think anyone expected the total to hit 75 on this one. Like, that feels really high.
That was, like you said, this game is absolutely terrifying for bettors. Early in the week, the spread was actually set to 16.5. It settled on 10 right before the game with a final score of 45-30. The Jets were able to keep it within 15 on the back of a really solid performance, actually, out of their third-string quarterback, Josh Johnson. Everybody was saying this is going to be Mike White's game, and, based off this performance out of your third-string quarterback, I think we can officially say that Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback on the Jets roster, and he's making more than every other quarterback they have combined. It's kind of silly to think that you're the guy that you just drafted second overall is getting absolutely thrashed by the other two guys that I'd never even heard of before. Wentz, he looked really good throwing, got 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The story of the night, though, had to be Jonathan Taylor, 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. This guy, he's unstoppable, honestly, and I think that we're going to see him end up as the league leader in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns this year. The Colts are now 4-5, second in the AFC to Derrick Henry-less Titans, who are 6-2. Do you think that the Colts are better than a losing record would suggest, and can they catch the Titans?
Yeah, I honestly do think that they're going to catch the Titans. I wrote a piece on this way back for Football Takes, where I had projected that the Colts would finish with about a 9-8 record. But with the Titans now losing Derrick Henry, I think that they're going to go 4-5 in that stretch. So I think the Colts have a chance. The question is obviously, they lost the 2 games to the Titans, so I think that they're going to struggle. They have to finish with a better record overall. They cannot afford to tie. So I think that the Colts are in a hole, but I think they can catch them. I am a little bit concerned about their defense because I don't think you should be giving up 30 points to the Jets' third-string quarterback. And let's be real, that could have very easily been 37 points. And, if those 2 interceptions don't happen, we could have been talking about the Jets coming back and winning, I don't know, but 48-45 or something, and just would have been a crazy game. So I think they can catch them. It's just a question of, the Colts are good. Just can they be better? Because I don't know. I am genuinely concerned. Are you also concerned about this defense? Because it's supposed to be really good, but they allowed the Jets to just waltz right back into the game almost.
Yeah, I think this defense just as a whole has regressed a lot from last year. I mean, this is the same team that took the Packers to an overtime in the 13-3 season, won that game. This is just not the same team anymore. You looked at it, the halftime score, as you said, 28-10. And the Jets did score 14 in the fourth quarter there, coming up on 21 in the fourth quarter. So I don't know if that was just, maybe the team's playing lazy. They know they have this in the bag. Maybe they pulled some starters that I didn't notice. Something had to have happened, because I don't think that if the Colts play seriously like they had for the first three quarters, it's the same result. Because in the first quarter, Jets had 7 on that second drive. They got a touchdown with Mike White. Second quarter, they had 3 points. Third quarter, they had 6 points. And then fourth quarter, pending that interception, they would have had a 21 realistically. So you can definitely see that it's consistent, and then it takes a massive jump. I think if it's in the fourth quarter, you can chalk that up to defensive laziness. So I think realistically, if you have your guys trying in a real game that's not like an absolute win at the time, Jets probably score maybe 20, 23, somewhere in that range. But I do think that the defense just kind of let up and got lazy, which is it's not good that your team does that. They should never do that, but I can understand why they did it in this case.
I don't know I guess my thing is I wouldn't want to call it lazy. I almost think it's a strategy change, right? Like you're probably playing a little bit more prevent, probably doing a little bit more zone and dropping people back and letting them have the under. So I think that, credit to Johnson. I believe he's played for 5 different teams. He is a veteran who just doesn't get a ton of snaps. Mm-hmm. So I think that he actually is smart and was able to recognize a lot of stuff that maybe Zach Wilson doesn't recognize. So I think that's probably a little bit why. I hesitate to call anyone in the NFL lazy, and I'd rather chalk it up to maybe I think caught sleeping almost is okay. Like they were caught by surprise. I didn't think this would be a game. If you're up, by the margin they were at halftime, I have to imagine you're kind of thinking we can pump the brakes. Taylor has made a case for himself to be the best running back in the AFC South, counting Derrick Henry because he's played so well. I think he is now with Henry out, but those two, the AFC features 2 really good running back. AFC South features 2 really good running backs. But let's hop over to the Zach Wilson point. So you mentioned this earlier, and I wanted to verify. So yeah, Wilson is making $6,391,033. That's his official cap hit for the season. Mm-hmm. Josh Johnson has a cap hit of less than $600,000, and I would assume Mike White is in very similar situation. And then Carson Wentz over on the Colts, his cap number is $21 million. So explain to me how the 2 quarterbacks who are making less than $1 million combined for the Jets to put up 412 yards, and then the quarterback who's making about 20 times the amount only put up 300, and then also you have your first string on the bench who's making $6 million, 6 times your 2 backup quarterbacks. Like, what's going on? Like, do you genuinely think Zach Wilson is the problem, or what are you attributing it to?
I don't want to say that I think Zach Wilson is the problem, because he is a rookie. We're less than halfway through the season at this point. We got to give him time. I don't usually like to judge a quarterback as an NFL starting quarterback until they've had a full season in the NFL at least, because it is such a different game. Like, I know we heard Justin Fields say early in the season, "Oh, the game's slow." Yeah, how's that aged for you, Justin? It's a lot different when you play the starters and the backups. There's a reason they're the starters. But I just think that there's so much to learn and absorb and get used to. And we also kind of chalked up a lot of Zach Wilson's mistakes as, oh, he's with the Jets. If you're surrounded by garbage, you smell like garbage, like you said earlier. But now we're starting to see that when you're surrounded by garbage, maybe you can do well. We've seen that now from Mike White and Josh Johnson, who have both done phenomenal against no slouch teams here. I mean, the Bengals aren't great. Passing-wise, they're one of the worst teams. But as an overall defense, they're not bad. Colts, same thing as an overall defense. They're not terrible.
I'd say they're 2 top half defenses. They're not They're not the Titans. They're not the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was the one thing when I was looking at the Mike White film. and then comparing, looking at like, oh, I thought the Cincinnati defense was actually pretty good. They actually do rank 32nd in pass attempts and pass completions in the league. So on the passing side, Mike White might have been a little bit helped by that, and people just think, oh, the Bengals defense is good, so they must be all around good. On the passing side, they're terrible.
1 second. Here's the crazy thing is that Mike White arguably outplayed Wentz while White was in the game. White went 7 of 11 for 95 yards and had a passing touchdown for a QBR of 90.8. During that same span, Wentz went, I believe, 9 of 11 for 87 yards and a touchdown. So it indicates to me, maybe that's not a fluke. No, go ahead. Are the Colts similar to the Bengals in that they struggle against the pass too?
Well, let's see. And looking at the Colts overall are actually ranked 26th in the league. They're pretty poor, according to lineups. Yeah, defensively. And they are really, really bad against the pass. So they are 32nd in pass yards, 26th in pass attempts, 29th in pass completions.
Wait, are you accounting? Is that accounting? I think I realized the problem. I don't think the Colts are 26th defense. I think that lineups updated the Colts stats.
That could be it. I wish they would do a week by week thing because it only does season by season.
Well, I'll bring up my next point. Would you go to Football Reference and look up the DSRS for me? So something that I did think was really interesting about Taylor is that he's having a really good performance. Do you think he's offensive player of the year caliber good, the way he's been playing the past couple of games? Because he's already been playing out of his mind a little bit. Against the Jets, he put up 172, had the 2 touchdowns. Against the Titans, it wasn't as dominant. He had 70 yards in a rushing touchdown. But then the 49ers, triple digits, a touchdown. The Texans, triple digits, 2 touchdowns. The Ravens, 50 yards, a touchdown. But he seems to be trending in the right direction, and he looks really good. He's also adding on through the air, right? Against the Ravens, he actually put up 116 receiving yards and a touchdown. And he's not consistently putting up huge passing numbers, but I think he's working himself into the conversation of offensive player of the year because of like kind of the narrative, right? Like the Colts were struggling, and since he's kind of kicked it up to another level, they seem to be a better football team. Do you want to discard some of his stats almost because they come against bad teams, or do you think he's making a genuine case for offensive player of the year?
Well, I do think he is actually making a genuine case for himself because if you look at rushing leaders this year, Derrick Henry is number 1, 937 rushing yards. Jonathan Taylor is now number 2, 821. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor has had an extra game. So after this week, I would like to look at this and
reevaluate.
Yeah, kind of reevaluate just to make sure everybody's on a level playing field here. But the one thing that I actually do really want to point out, he is really efficient because while he is second in yards right now, he is third in carries at 140. Now, the guys that are ahead of him in terms of carries this year, the second place guy has 50 more carries than him, and then Derrick Henry has 219 to his 140. So Derrick Henry is getting so many more attempts to get these yards. And as of right now, he only has 116 more, but he has 80 more attempts.
And he's not going to get any more too, unfortunately.
And on the same thing, Derrick Henry has 10 touchdowns, 219 attempts. Jonathan Taylor, 8 touchdowns, 140. So if we were to scale up, and it actually looks like we're going to be able to see that now that Derrick Henry has he's not going to get any more carries. Jonathan Taylor, I'm sure, will get to 219 carries. Once that happens, when we can compare their stats then, I would like to see where they're at because I do think Jonathan Taylor is a more efficient running back than Derrick Henry. That's why I personally don't like Derrick Henry for Offensive Player of the Year because he just has so many more opportunities than any other guy. It's ridiculous.
So looking at Taylor, his stats, he actually has the highest average among running backs who have attempted at least, just even 50 carries. Like he averages 5.9 per attempt. Like you said, he does not have a ton of attempts, at least compared to Henry. And of running backs, because you have a few outliers like Jaquez Patrick for the 49ers. He averages 6, but he's only had 2 attempts for 12 yards.
Yeah.
So, you can kind of discard that. And then look at Tyrod Taylor. He's had 5 attempts for 55 yards, but he's also a quarterback, and he averages 11. So you can discard that. So he's actually probably one of the most efficient running backs on a per carry basis in the NFL. So I know that I believe Cooper Kupp is getting a lot of applause out in LA for having a really outstanding season. So I know that he's probably the favorite, but I think Taylor's making a good case for himself as a running back.
I absolutely agree. I think if I could pick a running back right now in the league, I think I would pick Taylor because Derrick Henry, of course, Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. He's a monster. But at the same time, he's shown he's not quite as efficient. And yes, you can say the defenses are maybe planning to play him a lot more because, it's the Titans. They're going to run with Derrick Henry so much. So there is that aspect of it. But Carson Wentz isn't really anything particularly special. I'd imagine this late into the season, teams are kind of switching from let's go against the pass on the Colts here. And maybe we should move to planning more against the rush because the rush has been consistently effective, whereas Wentz is going to make mistakes. We've seen that week in and week out.
Yeah, no, I almost think that the strategy going forward is maybe you start loading the box a little bit more against Taylor and say, hey, beat us through the air. Let's see you do it. Because I think you're right. Like you're looking at Wentz, a clean sheet, obviously, but this is against the Jets. You should have a clean sheet pretty consistently against the Jets. Now, before we move on to best, worst, and biggest surprise of the week, I do want to – Tony and I wanted to look at a drive just to see what we could see from Jets Colts. Specifically, the interest was, why did he perform so well? I know we've kind of given reasons as to why we think he performed so well, Josh Johnson, that is. But I kind of want to look and see what the tape tells us. So let's go in here and look at this. So 1st and 10, Jets 34. There's a minute 11 left in the third. It looks like, to me anyway, that the Colts are going to play zone here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they only have one high. Yeah,
so it's a one high shell. He just takes it out of bounds. All right, 2nd and 11, pretty much the same down and distance. Again, it looks like they're playing a 4-3, I'd say, with this cornerback coming down onto the line. He's going to creep down there. All right, so steps back in the pocket. That's probably a 7-yard drop, right? So he's going to be looking for wide receivers after they started taking about 14 steps. So he's scanning.
It's a little bit more of a deep pass.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a deep pass intended to gain some decent amount of yardage. He gets hit. We're gonna move away from it, but he gets hit as he's going. But he finds the hole, right? He finds the hole.
Now with more complete long hair care, L-Vibe Dream Lengths from L'Oreal Paris. You're worth it.
All right, next play. Let's see what goes on here. All right, so hands it off. Stop pretty easy. I think that the Colts are a team you probably don't want to rush the ball against that much.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Johnson's been doing pretty well up until this point. I mean, you should probably let him. I mean, you shouldn't be letting him take 70-yard bombs every play, but you should be letting him toss a little bit.
Look at the stat line. He's averaging 15.4 per attempt. Oh, that reminds me. Did you find the DSRS rating for the Colts?
I did, yes. Where did I have that? It's right up here. Okay, 2021 DSRS for the Colts is a 0.2. So it's positive.
Okay, so above average, but barely.
It's slightly above average. Last year, for reference, they were a 1.6.
Okay, now here's the interesting thing about that. I'm wondering how much they got punished by allowing the Jets to score 30 points. You know what I mean? That'll be that's something that merits looking into, and we'll see. Obviously, as kind of as the weekend goes, as lineup starts to update, how they look comparative to the league. But I think the defense is definitely going to see a downgrade because of the stats they give out. And and on that note, let's continue. Okay, shotgun. They would appear to be, I'd say, 11 personnel. Takes it. He's going to step back.
Looks like this looks tough. Show.
Oh my gosh, he gets away from it. That's okay. That is just insane. The fact that he throws out of it and finds a guy. It's a shame he couldn't hold on to it. It didn't look
almost
like
picked. Should have been picked.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he was there. I think he wasn't expecting it. That's a lot of us. Like, you expect a wide receiver to make that catch as a DB.
I expected him to get sacked if I'm the DB.
Yeah. So, okay, I don't blame him for that because it's like, that's one of those things where the ball's in your hands so fast. You're like, how the heck did this get here? He should have caught that, hit him right in the hands. So
yeah, no, for sure. Okay, you know what? I do see what you're saying. That probably could have been a pick. I'm not going to say
he was right there.
Could have, but not should have. Okay, big 3rd down and 6. Let's see what happens here.
This is where you got to throw, right?
No, I think this is a throw because of the
it has to be a throw. There's nobody in the backfield right there.
Yeah, it's empty set. I think actually
looks like you have a bunch up top.
You got a bunch here. I believe this is your tight end in the slot, and then you're at your running back here. So yeah, no, I think that could
be a screen. Yeah.
If you're the Colts defense, look at these guys. They're clearly communicating, hey, something about this
screen
bunch.
Up here. You got
exactly.
The 2 blockers.
They're going really heavy on the rush. Maybe this guy will drop back. Let's see.
I'd imagine so.
Oh, yep. So
Yep, he drops back.
He drops back. They're on the bunch. It would appear to be. I think we're going to see this is his own because he's going to break pass and he's going to pass him off back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it looks like it's man, but maybe it's a zone cover over here.
Yeah, they're probably watching the screen on that side.
Yeah, I mean, look at him, right? He literally curls for the short check down completion.
Right.
But he goes deep. He finds a man wide open. That was Moore. Moore got me 30 fantasy points. He basically probably won me the weekend because he was expected to get like 10.
Yeah, Moore actually went off.
Yeah, he definitely did. I think, boosted by Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got one tight end, one running back, so it's 11 personnel. What are you expecting from the defense here?
Defense.
It's a 4-3. This guy's coming down, creeping off the edge.
It looks like they have an obvious single high right here, but that guy up top might also be a disguise too high.
Yeah, he kicks back.
He kicks back. This guy kicks back up top and then comes up.
It's a rush. It's a rush.
So I think if it were a pass that guy up top, it's a disguise too high shell.
I don't hate running it there. All right,
it's not terrible. I mean, just testing the waters almost. You don't want to throw it every time.
Look at this pocket. What is this man dealing with? I understand why Zach Wilson struggles so much, right?
Yeah.
Look at this pocket.
Yeah, but at the same time, Johnson's getting it done.
No, I mean, and I think this kind of feels like it backs up my theory that, hey, he's a vet. Like, he kind of knows how to deal with this. But let's see. Okay, so he's gonna run. I think he goes for it actually and picks up some decent yardage. Yeah, so he's just gonna take it out of bounds. I actually really like that. The pocket broke down. You didn't have a chance in hell.
Yeah, don't force those throws. That's what Wilson's been doing, and that's what leads to a lot of his picks. So that's the difference between a rookie and a veteran right there.
Pure shotgun here, 3rd and 2, which is really interesting, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what happens.
Colts are playing up on the line.
He jumps. Okay, so it's a free play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's a free play, maybe you want to be a little dicey, but he seems to find this guy and just clearly in a hole. So I want to go back.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the beginning of the play here, let's see. Let's wait for it.
Yeah,
on the defensive side of the
ball. They're all.
I think there is. Down. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
it's
10.
So there's guy, right?
there's one guy really high playing the deep ball, just in case they do decide to go deep on a 3rd and 2. But the other 10 guys are basically tasked with stay on the line because there's no way that with their 3rd string quarterback they're probably going to go deep. So he jumps. If you let the play go through, you see these guys start to drop, but they largely stay on the line, which is how it allows a guy to get behind that guy in the middle.
This guy's playing zone because he's not even concerned about his man. This is, I believe, the guy who makes the catch. He's going to bend off and cross.
They're zoning the line to gain for sure, which allows he's zoning right on the line, and he's the Mike, and then there's going to be the free safety in the back who's just guarded against the deep ball. So if you can just find the hole between them, that's what you got.
I mean, he did. He read that perfectly, right? Like he didn't even think about forcing it, even though he's got the free play. He just waited for the hole to open up, found it, and that'll kill a defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you have to do. It's a lot of disguise coverages. That one was pretty obvious because it's like if they're all at the line, then they're not going to be dropping that far back. You know that. They're going to be staying pretty close. And then you see the guy up top. He's going to be way back to compensate. So you know you have a little bit in the medium.
All right, so this is single high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the linebackers pretty much all stay home. Johnson finds pretty unimpressive play there.
Yeah, but that's what you get when you've been playing like this. You play some run, some pass, which means the linebackers kind of have to stay about 5 yards out, just in case it's a pass, but also just in case it's a run. They don't really know.
Colts easily shut that one down there.
Yep.
All right, 3rd and 9. This is big because I believe this is the scoring play.
Mm-hmm. It should be.
So, see, we got a single man up here. It would appear that they're in 11. Let's roll it.
Yep. Let's see. Linebackers.
Post snap look.
Linebackers look like they're mostly staying kind of where they are. But again, this is an obvious passing situation, so I don't know why they don't drop back maybe a little bit more and try to protect the line. But potato.
And the easy catch.
Yep. But that's what happens when you have one guy high and then you send a couple guys up high, and it's just really tough to guard them when you have all of your linebackers down sitting 5 yards off the line of scrimmage.
I believe that's the tight end, so let's watch his route because I believe he just goes. Like he doesn't even.
But I don't think the linebacker covers him. I think he stays
No,
up
yeah.
too far.
No, it's zone, right? Like
Yeah,
this is
it's
zone.
definitely a zone. But instead of saying 5 yards back, maybe sit 10 yards back off the line.
I don't
This
even
is a
think-
much tougher throw.
I don't even know if that matters, right? Like that's here. I mean, I guess what you're saying is right. He can get there a little bit easier, but like in a zone defense, you're assuming that your deep guy can get him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, he runs right past him. Like he's gone. And then yeah, this guy, he comes over because he realizes it. This guy too, just a second too late. Again, it's just Johnson. I think is the savvy veteran. Like he figured out where the hole is in that defense.
Yeah,
and
it seems like it's
fine.
a lot over the middle too. Like it was just very repetitive. Of okay, they're going to play this. Let's throw it to the middle. They're going to play this. Let's throw it to the middle.
I think he played that pretty much as perfectly as you can. Like I mean, that's all you got to do. And I know that I feel like. You're playing zone, right? You're letting him have the stuff up the middle. But if you have a smart veteran who can connect with his weapons, I mean, you're going to allow points, which again, I know is how prevent defense works. Like you don't want to get burned. You want to just minimize everything. Let them take a 12 because that was a 12-play drive according to the NFL. So I mean, like, I know that's situationally probably what you want to do, but still, that gets them back in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that was our film session for the weekend. I hope you guys enjoy it. I really like doing film more than anything else because I think it's fun to really, once you know the result and have it in hand, you're not worried about narrative or storyline or how the game is developing. You get to really pause it and look at the X's and O's like Tony and I do. And I think it really is fun. And it should inform you too. Like if you go back and watch games like Tony and I try to do, I think it really informs you on how good a team actually is. Oh no, we lost Tony. That's not good at all. Okay, you guys are stuck with just me. So my apologies for that one. All right. I'm going to hop on over to – oh, there's Tony. Thank the Lord.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, me neither. All right. So, Tony, I was just telling the people, go watch film. It's important. And then we're going to hop on over to best, worst, and biggest surprise. So best, worst, biggest surprise is the segment where Tony and I say, hey, we're really good at this, or at least we think we are. Maybe you guys think we're horrible. I don't know. But we think we're really good at this, but we're not infallible. Like we make mistakes. And so this is kind of the time where we get to talk about our victories, but hey, we admit that there were a few losses every week, right?
There always are.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. And so I definitely have a loss or two this weekend. I think I had the better weekend than Tony, which feels like the first time I get to say that in a long time.
Yeah, congrats. You made up some ground on me. Some pretty good ground, if I recall.
Yeah, I think I beat you by a game or two, but that's neither here nor there because you still had some good picks, of course. So what was your best pick of the week?
I'm going to take my best pick of the week as kind of our best pick of the week, and it's the Giants to cover. I think this was a great one. A lot of people thought, it's the Chiefs. A lot of people are still doing that thing. It's subjective. They're putting the name value on the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're just not very good. The game, it was the most uncomfortable pick simply because it was going to be close. I almost flipped to the Giants before the game started, but I'm glad I didn't.
Me too.
We nailed this game. I almost texted you. I was so close to texting you and just saying, I think I'm going to flip to Giants.
Wish you did. If you did, though, I would have felt uncomfortable the entire game because it's totally possible.
Yeah, because we saw that. The Chiefs let's just call a spade a spade. The Chiefs suck.
Okay, I'm not going to say they suck because they are like an offensively dominant team in the exception of turnovers where they are just horrible.
Yeah, where they're leading the league. That's huge.
Mahomes leads the league in interceptions. But I'm just saying, I don't think they suck. They've struggled, I guess is what I want to say. I'm not there yet. I'm not going to say they suck. And so, yeah, I figured I'd let you have Giants in Kansas City because, it was something we both called. Yeah. We nailed it. And so I actually had a pick that I thought was a little better. I am sort of surprised that Tony didn't pick his Tampa Bay Saints pick because, wow, that one worked out really well for him.
Yeah.
But my best pick of the week was Panthers-Falcons, and I'm picking it because I was actually only one of 4 people to pick it if you count the ESPN expert panel poll, which I kind of like doing is almost like a compass on when I make a pick. I like my analysis, honestly. I said that the Panthers defense was going to be able to suffocate Matt Ryan, that the Falcons were looking better because they were playing bad defenses, and that the Panthers offense was going to be able to score on the Falcons, which that one didn't exactly ring true. But you know what? They scored just enough to win, even if they lost Darnold. I was particularly excited by Gilmore because I believe he allowed Kyle Pitts 1 reception for 3 yards.
Something like that. Kyle Pitts had a really low day. I'm glad I benched him.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts said, I believe, it was a welcome to the NFL moment. And no kidding. That's a lockdown guy. I'm so glad that he left New England and came to the Panthers. I'm thrilled that we have him just because projecting forward to next season, because this season I think it's going to be a wash. Next season we're going to have a fantastic defense led by what I'm going to pray is kind of an elite secondary.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the sucky part. Let's move to the worst. What was your worst?
You've been dogging me on this for a couple days now. I admit it. I committed the Cardinals into football. I chose the Lions, and they immediately got demolished by the Eagles. I thought they were finally showing some life. You know, they pulled the Rams pretty close, a lot closer than people thought. Dan Campbell was turning them around, but no. Here we go again. The Lions suck. Honestly, even when the game was like 17-0 Eagles, I was like,
There's a chance.
With this pick. I'm still okay with it. And then I check. I'm on red zone, right? So I'm on red zone. It pans away. It's gone for a while. Pans back. Next time I see it, it's like 35-3. I'm like, oh no. Tom is going to be texting me very soon. Sure enough. What the hell was this pick?
I'm sorry. I just thought it was hilarious because I told you it was a bad pick on the show last week and took the Eagles and laughed at you.
Sometimes you got to take the underdog and it pays off or it doesn't. It clearly did not.
I mean, you know, you won with the Saints, right? Like you won that one. I believe they were the dog. You won it. You don't win them all. I do want to quickly share my screen again just because I think this is hilarious. This wasn't this last weekend, but I believe Goff has done it now 3 or 4 times in this season. This is Goff on 4th and 3 throwing the ball away. It's 4th and 4, Tony, and he just chucks it. And I don't know, that feels like the Lions season in a nutshell, to me at least. He did that against the Eagles.
I mean, I feel like so my thing is, yes, you're protecting your stat line because obviously if you throw like a chuck it ball, and it could be intercepted. But at the same time, if you throw just a chuck it 60-yarder, that's essentially a punt, is it not? I mean, yeah, you're taking an interception on your stat line, but you're also throwing up a 50-50 ball. So you can either throw it away, have 0% chance of converting, or throw up a 50-50 ball, and sometimes it's picked, sometimes it's an incomplete, and sometimes you actually convert it. So I feel like at that point, you just got to take it. If you're going to go for it, you got to take it.
The option there is 50-50, throw it away, and take a sack. Obviously, throwing away is better than taking the sack, but if I'm him, just rip a 50-yard. I mean, it's an arm punt. Like, you're just punting your arm.
And maybe you do take a sack, honestly. I know that is kind of a thing.
No, I don't think you take a sack.
If you're at the 50, right? If you're at the 50, with some of the guys that we have in the league, I don't know about the Lions kicker, but I know, like, Packers kicker.
Well, it's 4th down.
He can – well, yeah. Well, I guess that is true. That is 4th down. I keep thinking it's 3rd. It's so weird how Dan Campbell has changed the league.
Well, that's why it's
all these going for it.
That's why it's so dumb. Is because he's throwing it away on 4th. Like, I agree with you. Maybe you take the sack on 3rd down, but it's 4th.
If it's 3rd down, I take the sack. I keep forgetting.
All right,
God,
my version of throwing the ball away on 4th down was picking the Bengals at Jets simply because, like, it's just. In hindsight, it looks really dumb, but it probably felt really smart in the moment to throw the ball away. And that's just kind of how I felt about this one. But, like, in my defense, picking the Jets there is kind of crazy. Like, I don't think a sane human being, much like how Tony picked the Lions, I don't think sane human beings pick the Jets to win games.
I think my Lions pick would have been less egregious than if somebody had picked the Jets.
If they picked the Jets, they would have been right. But
well, yeah, but like at the moment, it would have been crazier to hear somebody say, "I'm taking the Jets," than to hear somebody say, "I'm taking the Lions." Like that's how weird this pick was, and then they won.
Unless you're Damian Woody, in which case you take the Jets over the Colts.
Of course.
Okay, what was the biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise that I had this week, it had to have been the Bengals Jets, like you said. I mean, who would have thought Mike White came out, absolutely annihilate the field? My only warning on the Mike White hype crowd is, the Bengals, and those stats are legit. I looked at those a couple days ago, so nothing can be skewed on that. Mm-hmm. While they are overall solid, they do have one of the worst secondaries in the league. So yes, Mike White did outstandingly well for the second string on one of the worst teams. You don't expect your guy to do that. But that being said, this is one of the maybe top 3 worst secondaries.
Yeah. No, I mean they're a bad secondary. Like with hindsight, of course it feels obvious, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I was more surprised that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase couldn't exploit the Jets, which I thought was more surprising. I know Robert Saleh is a great defensive mind, right? But we also just saw the Colts hang 45 on them, and they weren't even trying in the second half. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean there is that, but at the same time, obviously we can't use lineups now for the same reason of they're going to look so like as of right now the Jets are the worst defense in the league, but it's absolutely skewed. Up until this week, they were a top half of the league. They were actually pretty good.
Since you probably still have it up, look at their DSRS while I tell the people what my biggest surprise was.
Yeah. Go
So my biggest surprise wasn't that the Patriots would beat the Chargers, because I said that this is 50-50. I feel okay taking the Chargers because I like their offense more than I like the Patriots offense. What I thought was the biggest surprise was that Mac Jones actually outplayed Justin Herbert, from a statistical line. Jones didn't have a touchdown, but he also didn't have an interception, whereas Herbert had 2 interceptions, and one of them, I believe, was a pick 6, which in part, I mean, we could find the tape. It's not Herbert's fault that one of them went back for a pick 6, but he still had 2 interceptions, and that cost your team the game in a close one.
Yeah.
And by QBR and then passer rating, Jones was actually statistically better than Herbert, which if you told me that was the stat line, I'd be really surprised because I am as high on Herbert as anyone can be. So I was a little surprised by that. Now, do you have the DSRS for the Jets?
I do, and I actually don't know what to make of this because it's really bad. I don't know if this is skewed, but it's a negative 8.3. But according to lineups last week, I think they were the 11th overall defense in the league with a decent secondary.
I think that, unfortunately, Football Reference I think the simple rating system really is only results oriented, whereas lineups is probably taking is looking more at DVOA. So I think it's probably the discrepancy that we're seeing is that if the Patriots hang 45 on you and then the Colts hang 45 on you, you probably look like a really bad defense. So I feel like that's probably what it is, and that going by category probably would give the Jets a little bit of credit.
Yeah, I do know in their secondary they were much better in their secondary than they were against the run game. I would like to go back and revisit this once, just like we said, once the whole week goes through, kind of balances everything out. Obviously, they're going to drop because of this for sure. But up until, I really wish they would do a week by week thing. I would love to see what every team was last week so we can use it this week. But
lineups, if you're listening, do that and sponsor
please make it
us.
Week by week and sponsor us. We've been using your stuff so much.
I plug you, and I'm not even getting paid to do it, so you might as well pay me.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. I guess that doesn't really help our case, does it?
No, it does not at all. I said it and then instantly regretted it. I'm like, don't tell them that. Okay, I am the person who uses lineups the most probably ever. I will stop doing so.
Yeah.
I give you so much free publicity. Help me out. All right. So let's go on to the pick'em segment. All right, we have our first game. It's Browns at Bengals, where Cincinnati is a 2.5 favorite. The over/under's been set to 47. Tony, who are you picking in this big divisional game?
I want the Browns. I want the Bengals. I think the Browns are hurt with the pending release of, or not the pending release, the release of Odell.
The release, yeah.
This team just isn't the same as it was last year. The Bengals are looking for a big revenge game here, and I do think Jamar Chase is a huge day.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be something that happens. So I feel just because if you lose to the Jets, I'm a little bit concerned about you. But I am going to take the Bengals. I think that's the 1 week kind of weird flaw thing. I think it'll be hilarious if Baker goes off because the Bengals have a bad secondary the week Odell goes, because that's going to change the narrative. Yeah. From the current narrative that's on Twitter, at least, of Baker drove away OBJ to. Maybe Baker's better without OBJ. I mean, that'll be a fascinating
I think so, honestly.
Study.
I think OBJ is really overrated.
Yeah. And then so Kareem Hunt is obviously, he's not even on the depth chart according to ESPN, which is a problem.
That's
and
not
then
good.
Odell is obviously gone.
Yep.
Which, not that he's a huge factor.
Or any factor, really.
And then Baker Mayfield basically is playing with one arm.
Yeah.
So I like the Bengals.
If they win this game, it'll be supremely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals are home. They have the health advantage. And, I think the Browns are just kind of in turmoil, to be honest.
Yeah.
They also look kind of horrible against the Steelers. And not that the Bengals have the same caliber of defense, but I am kind of worried about their offense because their offense seems to be wishy-washy from week to week.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's kick it on to the next one. This one is going to be a stinker. It is my personal belief in the NFL that the Broncos exist for one reason and one reason only, and that reason is to consistently have games nobody wants to watch. Uh, and so this is no exception, right? The Broncos are playing the Cowboys. It's at Dallas. Dallas is the 9.5 favorite. The over/under set to 49.5. I think that there's a better bet than the over/under would be does Dallas score 49 points?
I mean, just
Broncos.
by themselves.
Exactly.
It's going to be Cowboys. That's my pick. It's the obvious pick. I hope it ages well, and I don't think it's going to be close. The Broncos are not as good as I thought they would be. Even if they were, they wouldn't be winning this game. This Cowboys team is just so complete. Like, you look at every single position,
It's perfect.
and it's like you're flawless. Even when you're injured, you have a backup guy that's still good. He's still a starter.
Well, I was going to say, that's in my notes, is that Cooper Rush single hit. Like, Cooper Rush is your backup, and he went into Minnesota and beat the Vikings. I think the Cowboys could play Cooper Rush and win this game. Like, I'm not even joking.
I think so, honestly. I don't know if they beat the spread, but I do think they actually would win that game, like, pretty easily. I don't think that's even much of a question for me.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one, where we do have a bit of another interesting quarterback line. So Miami is currently a 6.5 favorite. The over/under is set to 46.5. But Tyrod Taylor is returning for the first time since week 2, where he was really good through the first 2 weeks. Of course, that injury that put Davis Mills in, was a problem. But I think with Tyrod Taylor, I honestly kind of like the Texans. I don't feel comfortable doing so. And I think that, like, if you believe in the Dolphins more than I do, because I don't believe in the Dolphins offense that much, maybe you take the Texans to cover, because 6.5 feels really big for the Dolphins. It's an offense that's inconsistent and a defense that really has underperformed our expectations.
Yeah, I like the Texans here. I'm not confident really in it. Miami's just been truly terrible. And while the Texans have also been terrible, of course, I think they have at least been a little bit more consistently better most of the time. I kind of hope they keep Davis Mills in as a starter, honestly. He has shown promise. According
to ESPN, Taylor's supposed to get the start.
I'm sure they'll give him the start, but I kind of like seeing Davis. Davis Mills seems like he either has big games or bad games. There's not a whole lot of in between so far with him, but I kind of like what he's done so far. He hasn't been perfect. He's 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's not great. But there have been games where he's shown really a lot.
I got into a debate about it on Twitter, but currently Davis Mills has a higher passer rating than Trevor Lawrence. So, I said that.
That's because Davis Mills is a better quarterback.
That's what I said. Somebody posted, "Are any of these rookie quarterbacks good?" And I said, Davis Mills, considering where he was drafted. And someone said, Davis Mills is trash. And I was like, he's kind of performing like adequately comparable to the number 1 pick in the overall draft when he likely has a worse roster.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think, was maybe the most hyped quarterback out of the draft in the least.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah, in the last maybe 10 years. This has to be the most hype I've seen a number 1 draft pick get. And here's where he is. He's losing essentially stat wise to a 3rd round pick.
I believe second, but it totally could be.
Second or third, something like that. Either way, I had no clue who Davis Mills was. Now, I don't follow college, so that might just be because I'm an idiot. Probably even because I'm an idiot. But still, if you're losing out to a 2nd or 3rd string guy as the most hyped guy since Andrew Luck, you are not doing well.
Yeah, I mean, he's the 67th pick in the draft. That makes him the 3rd pick of the 3rd round. So,
yeah, really, just truly not a good look.
Considering that he's the 3rd round pick, he's at at worst a pretty good backup.
Yeah.
Like, I think with a better team, he might perform a little better. All right, let's hop on over to another interesting quarterback. Apparently, it's just all about quarterbacks and backups. The Saints have yet to release who they are starting in the game, but according to ESPN, they would appear to be expecting Taysom Hill. Tony, I know you liked Trevor Siemian and how he played against the Bucs. Personally, I'm inclined to just say, to heck with it. This is the defense that Trevor Siemian can probably light it up and get you a much needed divisional win. Go ahead.
I don't think Taysom Hill, like we've talked about this. Taysom Hill, he's kind of your jackknife. He's your jackknife. He's really he might be a good blocker. He might be a good weird runner in the Wildcat, something like that. He has an arm, but not a starting arm. I think he has like a backup level arm, which on a guy that's probably should be a tight end is a good arm. But at the same time, he hasn't shown much of anything.
He has a good arm
this year.
I don't even think he has a good arm for a backup. I think he has a good arm for a tight end.
Well, I mean, he's
He
your
played
wildcat
so-
jackknife.
he
Like
played
that's
so
what he is. He's not
badly.
your quarterback.
In games that are okay, maybe this is a case to start Taysom. In games that aren't against the Atlanta Falcons, I believe he was like 50% completion and had a QBR below average.
Yeah. He's definitely
So-
not your guy. Like, this is why we picked Jameis, and it was so easy, like, way early on when
It
people
felt
were like,
early,
oh, who's
yeah.
going to start, Jameis or Taysom? And we were both like, it's not going to be Taysom.
It
There's
has
no
to
way.
be Jameis.
It has to be Jameis. Even here, I think you start Trevor. Because if Trevor
Oh,
was able
100%.
to... Yeah, I mean,
Like-
the defense alone for the Saints should win this game, make it very easy to win for Trevor. Especially, you're Trevor Siemian. You haven't started this year. You go in, Jameis gets
Light
hurt,
up the Bucks.
and you beat the reigning Super Bowl champions. Your confidence has now gone through the roof. And now you're going to go and you're going to play the Falcons, the joke team of the league.
The team that the
I mean-
Saints, to be quite honest, own.
Yeah, really. And so, I mean, he's had more time to prepare for the Falcons. He wasn't really preparing for the Bucks. I mean, you're preparing as a backup,
If you're
which
a
is so
backup-
different from
if you're a
preparing as a
backup-
starter.
If you're a backup quarterback and you have to go play the defending champs, and the defending champs, like if you go back and watch the game, Todd Bowles is just sending everything. He's throwing everything but the kitchen sink. And then there was a play every now and then that he would throw the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
At Simeon. And Simeon went 16-29. Not great, but there was also 160 yards and a critical touchdown. I do think that
Yeah.
there's something to be said. I believe he was sacked a couple of times where it's like really key and just made bad
Mhm.
plays. But those are plays that I think get ironed out when you get starting reps.
Yeah, I mean, those are plays that you expect from a backup. But when you put your backup in with a game like this, with a game that everybody was
Game
like,
on the line.
yeah, I mean,
you're
when you have
the
Jameis
underdog
starting,
in.
everybody, when we picked our game, it was the obvious, just back of your mind assumption. Jameis is going to start the entire game.
And play-
Nobody's
yeah,
predicting
exactly.
he gets hurt. And at that point, we were both like, oh, Saints Bucks, this is going to be really close. Then you take out the starter and put the backup in.
I
Bucks
said,
should win that every time.
yeah, the Buccaneers were down, and I said, that's the game. I can turn it off now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
I mean,
was wrong.
honestly, that's what it should have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously Brady had a chance to win and look like an old man for a second.
Oh, so nice. I loved it.
You're so I know you don't like Brady, but that feels like me. You were just so happy that he lost. Like, just
I was.
overjoyed.
Here's the thing. It's not even so much that I dislike Brady. I don't have as
You
much of
do
an issue
dislike
with Brady.
Brady.
No, I dislike Brady, but I don't hate Brady. I hate Brady fans. That's who
Okay.
I want to see suffer.
That's a distinction to be made, I guess. Okay, genuine question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Has Brady become more likable since he's left the Patriots?
Yes.
Because I like him a lot more, and
I
I
like him a lot more now. I
And
can
I like-
honestly say that.
And I like Belichick a lot more, and I'm trying to explain why exactly that is. Why do I like both of them when they're not together? Is it just the fact that they ran the league for 20 years?
I think it has to be that, because I've always thought Belichick is the second greatest coach of all time behind Vince Lombardi. That's my personal thought. But I think, like, no matter what, if you want to argue the Lombardi thing, either way, for me, he's one or two. Like, he's one of the best. Then you have Brady, who I think is overrated. But people were always trying to, like, it was a fight between them. Like, oh, Belichick's better. No, Brady's better. And it always felt like it was a little bit of a fight, especially towards the end. Obviously, there was a whole cheating thing that they did multiple times. But, like, now that he's on the Bucks, it just seems like it's such a different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to fight between them anymore.
Like, he's fun.
yes, Belichick. Yeah, I mean,
Like, he's kind of fun. Like, he has a
changed.
fun personality.
It felt like when he was with Belichick, he kind of had to be somber, like all the
It's
time.
the Patriot
Then
way.
he gets
You can't
wasted
have a
at the
personality.
Tampa Bay Super Bowl winning parade and starts throwing the Lombardi over
They
the
almost
river.
they almost threw the Lombardi into the
Yeah.
ocean.
I mean, that's something you would expect out of Gronk on the
Can you-
Patriots.
oh,
now you have
yeah.
Gronk and Brady doing that on the Bucks, and
like,
it's just fun to watch.
Brady does fun commercials now. Like
Yeah.
I love. Okay, this is a weird take. I love watching Tom Brady in the Subway commercials.
Yeah, they're creepy.
You think they're creepy? I love
think
Tom
they're
Brady
kinda
in
creepy.
Subway.
I don't love it. I like that he's trying to do more. Like, I respect him for that, but I don't love it.
I like it because it's like they're always like it's him and Curry, and I think they write it so well
Mhm.
that I think it's just kind of entertaining. Like I think it's funny.
I think he's just creepy. He's not an actor. Like, there are some
Okay.
guys like Baker. Baker's commercials, like, he's kind of funny. I like
Baker
Baker's commercials.
Baker needs to stop playing football and just start being an actor.
He just
I'd
needs to start
watch-
being an actor. He's a
Would you
better
watch-
actor than he is a quarterback.
I would watch a Baker Mayfield movie.
I would 100%.
I
If he
would-
started it, I would buy a ticket today.
Can you imagine if Baker Mayfield and The Rock were in a movie together? Like
Kevin
I'd,
Hart. Jack Black.
Oh my gosh. If you
The
got
next
those,
Jumanji.
okay, one, if you got those 4 in a movie, it would probably bankrupt a movie studio. But 2, I would buy a ticket right now and I would pre-order it. You don't even have to give me a plot.
100%.
Don't give me a plot. Don't give me a plot. Don't give me a trailer. I will buy it all right now.
It's just that would be great. But I don't think Tom Brady's that. I think he's more of a football player. He's not so much an actor, but he's trying. So I think we're going to see some development here. But as of right now, I think he's a little creepy.
Okay, you know what's creepy? The Tony Dungy photo. That's creepy.
Tony Dungy in general is a little creepy.
That's so mean. Okay, I did want to just pull this up. I was clearly filibustering to try to get this play for Tony because I want to bring Tony a little bit of joy in his life.
It. It's Christmas. Come on, Christmas morning. Unwrap my present. What is it?
I just wanted to bring Tony just a little bit of happiness.
It's a Tom Brady pick, and not only that, Tom Brady.
Did anybody else get Tennessee Titans vibes watching this one?
That was my favorite play of all time from Tom Brady was the pick 6 as his last throw as a Patriot. It was just hysterical for me. I loved that so much. And then just the disappointed walk-off. Oh, it's so funny.
All right, here, watch this, though. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like, here, I believe it's going this way. Like, I don't know if this is just a miscommunication or... No, I guess that's just that's him making the read. Yeah, no, that's
the ball right there. I think he either didn't see the safety right there, or he just didn't think he was fast enough.
No, yeah, you're right. That's just Williams just making an incredible play.
Yeah, that's like normally like Brady fans love to go, "Oh, Brady threw this pick, but it was on the receiver." Nope, you can't say anything here. He knew exactly where he was going with that ball. Just a bad throw by Brady.
That's a money throw. And then Williams, he drops down, right? Like he should be. I have a feeling Brady's thinking he's going to be a little bit higher in coverage, and he just drops down and nails it.
Yeah.
I might be able to watch this in all 22. This is why I love Game Pass. It's because they have the all 22 film. All right, bear with me a moment, people. Let's try. No, it wouldn't be broadcast. I don't know. Maybe they don't have 22 up for this one yet. All right.
Not.
Let's hop on over to the next game. I'm assuming we're both taking the Saints here, even though it might be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm going to take the Saints for sure.
And speaking of uncomfortable, Raiders and Giants. I don't feel comfortable. So the Giants are like this weird team that they keep it close, and like every now and then they beat the Carolina Panthers by 22. Or they beat the Saints. Like the Saints beat the Bucks. Does that mean the Giants are better than the Bucks? I don't think it does, but maybe it does. I don't know. But the Giants, like, they're a weird team that, like, if you told me they beat the Raiders, I'd believe you because I'm waiting for the Raiders to be proven false.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Raiders here. Like we said earlier, we picked the Giants to cover against the Chiefs. That looks really impressive. But I'm gonna call a spade again and say the Chiefs just aren't that team anymore. Mahomes is not shown he's capable of carrying a team by himself. He's trying way too hard, and it's just not working. The Raiders have been good. The last time they went through some major adversity, like we are seeing right now, they actually went bananas on the field.
They were really good.
They did look really good. I see them repeating that again last time, like with the whole coaching situation changed up. I actually thought they'd be really bad. I picked against them.
Me too, yeah.
And then they absolutely destroyed me.
Here's the thing. They're obviously, as a result of that, the horrible accident that happened, they are missing Ruggs. So actually, I think I'm picking the Giants to cover the spread because I think that the Raiders are going to be a little bit like kind of offensively stuck. I think it's going to be a really hard adjustment unless they sign Odell Beckham, which maybe that works out for them.
There's no way.
All right, we'll get to that. If you like the show and want to know what we think is going to happen to OBJ, go get an app called Colin, CALLIN, Colin, where we do a podcast where we kind of go into more in depth on some of the stuff, and we don't pick games, but we try to look at data. What are the results, and how can we find out what's going on beyond what's on the field and through data.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit more of a data-driven show.
We'll be found. We're at the touchdown rundown over on that one. We are not NFL kickoff on that one.
Oh, would you look at that? This is a game that we don't have to talk about this. Let's
talk about this, Tom.
Oh, I guess we're contractually obligated to.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so Patriots at Panthers. I'm just going to say it. The Panthers, I didn't doubt them last week. I believed in them because I like the matchup. I don't like either side of the ball for the Panthers. Maybe defense is a wash because we have a well-performing defense, and the Patriots have struggled against really good defenses. Like, look at the Saints. Mac Jones didn't look great, but I also think Mac Jones has gotten a lot better to the point where He just looks really smart and like Tom Brady Jr.
Yep.
So like that's a neutral matchup at best for the Panthers. Whereas the offense, it's probably going to be missing Sam Darnold and CMC. So I'm definitely taking the Patriots here. Sorry, Panthers, it's Patriots, and they're going to beat the spread.
I'm also taking the Patriots. I think it's going to be a little bit of a blowout. I don't think the Panthers healthy. I don't think are that bad. They're just simply injured, and they're playing
healthy,
a team that is coached by, again, the second greatest coach of all time for me. They were able to neutralize Justin Herbert, who looked like an early MVP candidate a few weeks ago. And I just don't see PJ Walker being able to come out and being better than Justin Herbert. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I love PJ Walker. Like I thought, I was so excited when he got signed from the XFL, but like it's not
your game.
Yeah, all right. Let's hop on over to the one I wanted to get to because I wanted to skip that one. It's Bills and Jags.
I wanted to get to this one too.
The spread is by 14. The over/under is 49. I think Tony is going to be thrilled because the Bills' defense, like, legitimately looks like the best defense. Now that can be taken with a grain of salt because they played really bad teams. But I know DVOA has them as one of the better defenses, and that does account for the rigor of their opponent.
Yep.
So, and they still think they're really good. Tony, do you have anything to say about Lawrence here? The fact that he's a 14-point dog?
I think that the Bills are going to make Lawrence look foolish again. The Bills have the best defense in the league. I predict Lawrence will throw at least 3 interceptions. Meanwhile, the Bills will run over the Jaguars. Awful defense, no problem.
Yeah, I wrote an article about this one where DraftKings, I think, has since moved the spread to 14.5, and I still like the Bills to beat it.
Yeah.
I tried to find a way to make an argument for Jacksonville, and they don't.
There is none.
There's not one. They're fairly decent at like running the ball, but that's not going to matter because you're playing a high-powered Buffalo offense.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop on over to the next one. This is going to be really interesting. I'm kind of surprised by the spread, but after last week's loss to the Cowboys, I kind of understand that people are fading the Vikings a little bit. Baltimore by 6 with the over-under being 50. I'm assuming neither one of us is going to take the Vikings because they got beat by Cooper Rush, right?
Yeah. I think Lamar is going to be too much to handle for the Vikings defense. The offense is I like the Vikings offense, but I think the Ravens defense has been pretty solid. So I think this is maybe a close one. I don't know if I want to take Vikings to cover, but I think it's going to be, if they don't, it's going to be like
7.
Ravens win by a touchdown. Yeah, it's going to be like 7. So I think close one, but Ravens.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too. I don't know what it was. Something made me kind of upset while watching Cowboys Vikings because I was like, I kept seeing the Vikings. I thought the Vikings were going to win without Cooper Rush, but I was like, you know what? Tony thinks that they're going to be fine, so I'm going to roll with Tony on this one because I think he's got, maybe he's onto something. Because this was when he obviously picked the Saints, so like I was like, he's onto something, he's seeing something, he's on a bit of a hot streak. And so I just decided to roll the Cowboys, and that was like the Vikings are totally going to win this though. And then they threw like 75 screen passes, so I think that I don't know, I don't like the Vikings offense anymore, and their defense is. So I'm going to take the Ravens too. Let's hop on to an interesting.
Scared. It was weird.
Yeah. All right, let's pick another interesting one. Chargers at Eagles. Chargers 2-point favorite with the over/under being set to 50, just like with Vikings at Ravens. I'm surprised by the spread. Are you surprised by the spread?
I'm a little surprised, but I kind of see where Vegas is coming from here. Eagles, Chargers lose. Eagles win tremendously. So I can kind of see where it's like, we're not going to say Eagles are better, but we're going to say it's closer.
Was here. Let's see if we can trick some Eagle fans.
Yeah, let's see if we can narrow it in a little bit. So I have the Chargers. I pray that they can beat the Eagles. Yes, the Eagles are coming off of an insane win, but it was against the Lions. So, does it really count?
No.
No, I would say no.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you blow out the Lions, it doesn't matter because we saw the Ravens barely beat the Lions and then go on to that beat the Chiefs. So I don't think that the Lions are a great indicator because they're such a weird team this year. I'm taking the Chargers. They got to beat the spread. Come on, really? You don't think the Chargers are a field goal better than the Eagles? I don't buy it. All right, this one is the game of the week, and it's not the game of the week for the reason I wanted it to be the game of the week. I thought I was finally going to get Mahomes-Rodgers, and it's literally been a matchup I've been waiting for since Mahomes had an MVP caliber season.
Oh, me too.
And I was denied it. But it's almost brought like a more interesting experiment on because now you have to kind of ascertain where you think Jordan Love is at. And I got no idea. I have no clue where this guy is going to be at. You're a Packers fan. Like, I'm sure you have a little bit more insight, right?
I am taking the Packers here, and I think it's a bit of a controversial call.
Oh, it's controversial.
But I like him. I think Jordan Love has had a lot of time to develop. It came out yesterday, actually. I forget who reported it. It wasn't like a big NFL reporter, just one of the Packers ones that's always
writer.
at always at like practices and stuff, just kind of observing. And the center that we have in there actually, after practice, came up to Love and said, I got to tell you, I love how you're commanding the offense right now. Like, Love seems comfortable. And with how much time he's had to develop behind Rodgers, I think this is going to be an awesome game for Love because it looks like a big win, even though I don't think it's going to be. I do think that the Chiefs' defense is just so bad. But this is Love's offense. Rodgers will not even be on the sideline. He won't even be kind of in his ear helping him out. This is going to be Love and LaFleur. And we're just going to see how the two mesh, how they pull it off. The Packers' defense is actually 5th in the league in generating turnovers. The Chiefs are the 1st in the league in giveaways. So that's a bad recipe for the Chiefs. I do think that we're going to see Mahomes throw a pick or two trying to play some hero ball again. We might see a fumble or two out of somebody or another. And I think the Packers are going to keep it pretty clean. I do think that I believe in Jordan Love enough to beat the Chiefs defense.
Could you say you love Love?
I don't know if I love Love, but I like Love.
Okay. Now, do you think the center loves Love?
I do think the center loves Love.
Everyone should.
From what I've heard,
love
most of the team loves Love.
Love is a good thing.
Love is a good thing.
Now, the quarterback, I don't know if he's going to be a good thing. Here's my concern: is that the Chiefs, yes, they have just an absolutely horrible defense.
Yeah.
This feels like the recipe when you're on the road against a crowd like Kansas City. I think Kansas City is arguably one of the harder places to play because their crowd is just so rowdy and into it right now because they have a winning football team. This was a build. It's kind of a game of the year, arguably. Like in my looking at the schedule, I said this is the game of the year. This is the Super Bowl matchup I predicted going into the playoffs, and I'm kind of bummed we didn't get it, but here it is finally. I think that Love is going to start rough. And combined with how bad the Packers defense is in the red zone, which is kind of where the Chiefs offense actually is like underperforming in terms of turnovers, I think the Chiefs are going to be able to exploit the bad Packers red zone defense. And I think that because Love is just such a rookie in a bad environment, in a massive game, I think that he's going to struggle early on. He could totally prove me wrong and outplay expectations, but I think he's going to struggle. And I know, I believe I was talking to someone, Packers quarterbacks kind of struggle. Like Rodgers struggled in his debut and Favre struggled in his debut, so it would make sense to kind of fit the trend. So I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I think the Packers cover because 7.5 is kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I'm sticking with my Packers. I believe in the boys.
All right. It's your team, ride or die, right?
Ride or die.
Unless you're a Panthers fan playing the Patriots, in which case die. The Cardinals are playing the 49ers. This spread is actually, I believe, tightened. The spread was initially Cardinals -1 and is expanded or shrunk, depending on your perspective, to 49ers -2. I took the 49ers here because Kyler Murray was injured, so I think there's something to be said for his mobility being limited. I think that the 49ers defense is going to kind of be able to exploit that because I think they still have a pretty good front that can really get after him. And I like when the 49ers played at Arizona, they were able to run the ball really well. In fact, they actually outpossessed the Cardinals. The Cardinals they got a turnover on the 49ers and were able to win the game based off of that turnover. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think in this one with Jimmy G, maybe he'll be a little bit less turnover prone. I think Shanahan is starting to call differently for Jimmy G. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a different 49ers offense that, Jimmy G is going to maybe be involved in running the ball a little bit more. And I think he'll turn it over a little bit less. And that combined with the running, like we saw with the Packers, if you can just kind of run the Cardinals to death, you can actually kind of run them out of the game because you eat up the clock and then you force them to have to be perfect in the possessions they do have the ball, which is not always a guarantee. So I'm going to take the 49ers. Are you going to go with the underdog Cardinals?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. Kyler Murray is hurt, but this is a very good team, and I do think that they have a big bounce-back week against their big divisional rival.
And speaking of divisional rivals, man, was gonna be such a good Sunday night football match. I feel like this weekend, the theme of this weekend may have been great games that could have been, or games that could have been, I guess. With Derrick Henry out, I feel like football loses as a whole with Derrick Henry gone, and this game is no exception. This game should have been a lot tighter in terms of spread. But I'm taking the Rams. I don't know about the spread because 7.5 is just so much. Like, let's see how Julio Jones, Tannehill, and Brown are able to do without Derrick Henry. I don't feel like it's going to be good because Julio has kind of underperformed where I expected him to be this season. So, but I don't feel comfortable at a 7.5 spread. Maybe if it were 7, if it was 6.5, I feel like I'd take the Rams. But 7.5 might just be a little bit too much. What about you?
The Titans are the best team in the league if this were 2012. Adrian Peterson, Julio Jones, come on. But they just both haven't really shown. I mean, obviously, Adrian Peterson's old, so we can't. I can't really say he's underperforming. Julio Jones just hasn't really had a lot of looks. For some reason, they haven't really been getting him in as much. Obviously, Derrick Henry takes so many carries, but even when they do throw, they're not going to him like I thought they would. I think the Rams are going to blow this one out of the water. I think 7.5 is going to be something that they achieve by halftime. Derrick's hurt. Tannehill's good, but I don't think he's good enough to topple his team with that horrible defense.
Well, here's the thing about the defense that I think is worth discussing a little bit. I don't know how horrible. Like, I know their secondary is bad, right? And that's kind of been something I've been knocking them for. But according to the lineups, they're actually the 21st defense in the league where they perform horribly against passing, right? They're 28th in yards, I believe. But they actually are 10 and 7th against rushing attempts and yardage. So I think their front four are actually really good. We saw them pressure the heck out of Mahomes, and that basically kind of just won them the game. So do you think that the front is going to be a problem for the Rams?
No, I honestly don't think so. I think honestly, if I'm the Rams, I'm not going to say that I come in and my game plan is just not run the ball. But if they were to come in and just say Darrell Henderson, Sony Michel, bench, Matthew Stafford, we're going to run shotgun. We're not even going to put it back there. We're just going to let Stafford just chuck it downfield every single play of the game and just command this team. I think Stafford would have 450 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. I think the reason I don't want to give the Rams by the spread is because of how good the Titans front four were. I think they might be able to cause some fits. That, and I know that Stafford, I believe, was a little bruised up this week, right? With some back issues.
Stafford, he was a little bit of bruised back. They held him out of practice, but they did say that he's going to play. He'll be fine.
I mean,
the back is the problem that he had in Detroit, so that's a little bit of a bad sign right off the bat. But I think you also have Aaron Donald, and you just gave the Rams Von Miller. Like,
I can't wait to see Von Miller. That's going to be awesome.
He might die. There's just no way
with no Derrick Henry,
get sacked 4 times.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I think it'll be really interesting to see from like a Stafford. Like, I'm not worried that he missed practice. Like, if there's anyone who probably doesn't need to miss practice on the Rams, it's probably Stafford. So I'm not going to factor that in. But that front seven combined with the fact that Stafford is injured is just enough to scare me off of the Rams beating the spread. All right, let's hop on over the last game, Monday Night Football. I'm apologizing on behalf of America because anytime the Steelers are in a primetime game, I think that America just deserves an apology.
Yeah.
The Steelers are a 6.5 favorite, which honestly kind of surprised me. And then I went back and was like, oh, yeah, Justin Fields was kind of bad against the Browns and, add the 49ers onto that one. Like, he had his moments, don't get me wrong, but there are also moments where he looks very bad. And I think if there's a defense that's kind of built to bully Justin Fields, it's probably the Steelers. And it doesn't help they're on the road.
Yeah, I think the Bears, they might make this one close. It's going to be a battle of defenses. I think this is going to be a pretty low-scoring game. Obviously, over-under set at 40 is really low.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's like everybody knows this is going to be defense. I'm still taking the under as well. I think the Steelers have a little bit more of a reliable offense. That's going to be the deciding factor here. And I just think I would love for a reporter to ask Fields how slow the game is after this game. I would love it.
I feel like you could have done that when he played the Browns. And
you could have done it like every single game this year.
Fair. So I wanted to knock something that you said. I don't think the Steelers have a reliable offense. I think that they just have the better matchup. Like, If that
More
makes any
reliable.
sense,
More
right?
reliable than the Bears, I would say.
I don't think so, though. I think the Bears
Really?
have a better offense than the Steelers because the Steelers have just been that bad. But I think that the Steelers benefit from not having to play their own defense.
Hold on. Let's see what lineup says.
Yeah, would you? That's a good question.
Chicago Bears, 28th. Pittsburgh Steelers, 15th
In offense?
in offense.
Let's go. Good takes.
That's a good take for me. That's not a good take for you.
What? You said the Bears are 28.
The Bears
right?
are 28th.
In offense.
Yeah, the worst is 32nd.
Yeah, but the Steelers are 15.
Yeah, so the Steelers have a better offense. The closer
Oh,
to one
wait,
you
I'm
are, the
dumb.
better you are.
I'm dumb.
Come on,
Never
Tom.
mind. Wait. Okay, I'm dumb. What
The
are
Steelers, the Steelers are actually a pretty, or the not the Steelers. The Bears are actually a pretty good rushing team. But
Huh.
if you look at lineups right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There are 21 categories. The Bears are red in
All of
21
them?
of them.
Okay,
The
that is
Steelers, on the
pretty
other
bad.
hand, are red. They're red in a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but the Steelers are just a little bit better. I do think the Steelers are slightly overrated in this. I'm not going to lie, based off of what I'm seeing here.
Mhm.
But the Chicago Bears are definitively worse.
So I went to go find a take that would help back me up on this one, and I definitely didn't find it. The Bears, according to the OSRS stat that I kind of worship on Football References, like just a really good metric, they're in negative. You know what? Let's play the guessing game. Guess.
For what?
Guess
Oh.
the Bears OSRS.
The Bears OSRS has got to be
You're
a
not gonna get
-5.
It's -9.
-9?
It's
Wow.
the
What's the
worst in the
Steelers?
NFL. The worst
I'm
in the
telling you,
NFL.
dude, their offense is awful.
No, I think I've learned something today. Okay, so the Steelers. Guess the Steelers.
-6.
-3.
-3. Okay, so way
It's
better.
still
I will
really
say
bad.
the Bears, this is going to be an interesting one. I know we just said Tannehill might die. Justin Fields might die. The Bears are last in the league in sacks allowed.
Oh
When
god.
you're going against the
He will
Steelers,
die.
that is
Okay.
a bad
How much?
look.
How much of that is the Browns, though? Right?
Okay, yes, a lot of that is the Browns. That is very true. But if you're looking at it, if you switch it over to stats, the Bears have allowed 30 sacks this season.
He's Russell Wilson.
Essentially.
He's Russell
Except not
Wilson.
good. He's Russell Wilson, but not good.
He's a rookie. Russell Wilson of now versus Russell Wilson of rookie year, those are not the same players because Russell Wilson of rookie season was not asked to do nearly as much.
That's true. I'm still taking Russell Wilson rookie season though. 100%.
Oh yeah, me too. But he was also on a better team.
True.
Okay. All right, that's our show. We've talked about all we had to talk about. Go take our advice. Don't take our advice. It's really up to you. I gave you the best I could, and I feel like I do pretty well at this.
If you want more advice, go ahead and go over to Colin, Touchdown Rundown. Go ahead and follow us. Tom Swiller, Tony
We'll be on
Nemedi.
shortly.
Yeah, we'll be on shortly. So hope to see you there.
Yeah, definitely. Goodbye, guys. We'll see you next week.